What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Primetime Sports Podcast, hosted by Joey May Lowry. So this is my third episode of the day. I recorded an earlier episode in the day about the Boston Red Sox and the MLB. Then I recorded an episode a few hours later about the Damian Lillard trade request out of the Portland Trail Blazers. So I threw some trade packages together in a quick half-hour window just for the fun of it. And now I'm recording another breaking news episode, and this one is with the Los Angeles Clippers going out and signing Russell Westbrook to a 2-year, $8 million extension. And as you guys know, listening to my radio show or my podcast, any step along the way, whether he was on the Lakers or on the Clippers, everybody that's listened knows that I'm a diehard Los Angeles Clippers fan, knows that I am a huge fan of Paul George, and everybody that's listened knows I'm a huge Russell Westbrook fan. I always would defend Russell Westbrook tooth and nail, whether it's talking about him when he was on the Los Angeles Lakers and how I didn't think he was the issue there, and the same goes with him on the Clippers. Everybody knows that I will always support Russell Westbrook, and everybody knows I'm a huge fan of him. So seeing him sign a 2-year, $7.8 million deal to stay in Los Angeles, a place where he grew up, and obviously staying with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, two guys that he's friends with and obviously wants to win a championship with, it's something that brings a lot of joy and happiness to me. Russell Westbrook thrived on the Clippers this past season, only played 21 games overall for the Clippers in the regular season, and then also played in the playoffs as well. 5 games in the playoffs, and without Kawhi Leonard for 3 games in the playoffs, and without Paul George for all 5 playoff games, the Clippers needed somebody to step up and make plays, and that's what Russell Westbrook did. He carried the Clippers in his last few games. Game 2 against the Phoenix Suns, Russell Westbrook responded after game 1 where he went 3 of 19 from the floor and 1 of 6 from 3. Ended up making the game-winning block, though, against Devin Booker in Game 1. Russell Westbrook's stat line in Game 1 was not that great. 9 points, shooting 3 of 19 from the floor, 1 of 6 from 3. Did add in 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. But in Game 2, he responded very well from the floor, shooting 9 of 16 from the floor, 2 for 3 from 3, 8 of 8 from the free throw line, adding in 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks. Then if you look at Game 3, he responded with another great game, 30 points, 11 of 23 shooting from the floor, 3 of 7 from 3, adding in 8 rebounds, 12 assists, 3 steals, and a block. And then he topped it off with another great game in Game 4 with a career best on the Clippers, 37 points to go along with 7 of 29 shooting from the floor, 3 of 6 from 3, adding in 6 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. And then in an elimination game in Game 5, the Clippers were really down to their last leg. Even though he didn't have the best game, just 14 points and 3 of 18 shooting from the floor, 1 of 6 from 3, did add in 8 rebounds and 8 assists. He didn't have the best game, but he still fought all 39 minutes he was on the floor. All 39 minutes on the floor, he gave you everything he had. And that's what I love about Russell Westbrook. Everybody talks about him on the Lakers and how he wasn't a great fit there and it was his problem and he's the reason they were losing. Russell Westbrook has always been a great teammate. All of his former teammates in the media always mention how great of a teammate he is. Listen to Paul George's podcast, Podcast P. He said Russell Westbrook, when he was in Oklahoma City with Russ, Russell Westbrook had a relationship with every single player on that team. Knew everything about every player, whether they loved anime, and Jeremy Grant was his former teammate in Oklahoma City, whether it was Jeremy Grant loving anime, or it was Steven Adams and talking to him about rugby. He had a relationship with every single player on the Oklahoma City team. And then he comes to the Clippers, a team that already has some good veteran leaders in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and what does he do? He merges very well with the locker room and is a leader on the court yet again. So when a lot of people root against Russell Westbrook and people want to see him fail for some reason, which I've mentioned probably around 10 times now on my radio show and podcast, and I've talked about that it's just so sad to see that people really root against Russell Westbrook, a guy that is such a positive influence in the locker room, a guy that never gives up, a guy that's so determined to succeed and have everybody around him happy and succeeding. Russell Westbrook wants everybody to succeed around him. And you saw that with Oklahoma City. I mean, he was the heart and soul of that team, the heart and soul of the city. Kevin Durant leaves, and what does Russell Westbrook do? Goes and wins an MVP and still tries to contend for an NBA title. Obviously, it didn't work in Oklahoma City after Kevin Durant left, but Paul George and him still had a pretty good team there. Russell Westbrook will always give you everything he has. So I'm absolutely ecstatic seeing him come back on a new deal. 2 years, $7.8 million is an absolute bargain. That's all the Clippers could really offer him at $3.9 million per year. I think everybody knew Russell Westbrook definitely could have got more money on the open market. If you look at what Fred VanVleet got and some other point guards on the market got over the last day or so, you'd be shocked to see Russell Westbrook getting $3.8 million or $3.9 million. But in reality, you take a pay cut to stay home, stay in LA, and still play alongside Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Two guys that are on a Clippers team trying to bring back a title to their home city of LA. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, all from LA, all from California, and they all want to bring home a title to Los Angeles. And things just haven't worked out injuries-wise for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. But even with both of those guys being out in the playoffs this past year, Russell Westbrook brought heart, soul, and energy and ambition to that Clippers lineup and made things exciting. Even as a Clippers fan, when they're down 3-1, I still had some sort of hope because I knew Russell Westbrook was giving you everything he had. And he's a guy that everybody roots against for some reason, which I've mentioned a million times now. But I would have rooted for him no matter where he ended up. If he stayed with the Clippers or went to, let's say, the Charlotte Hornets, doesn't matter to me, I would have been a fan of him and still rooted for that team. I would have been a Clippers fan first, but I would have rooted for him no matter where he ended up. So him staying in LA, staying on my favorite team, is just a dream come true for me. I'm so excited to see Paul George and Kawhi Leonard stay another year with him. And now it opens up the possibility of Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and potentially James Harden all playing together on the Los Angeles Clippers. James Harden and Russell Westbrook were teammates in Oklahoma City. They were teammates for 1 year with the Houston Rockets. And maybe they have a third reunion here, and they are teammates yet again, maybe. If the Clippers could make a deal with the Philadelphia 76ers, they could be teammates for a third time now if they could get James Harden in a Clippers uniform in a deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. And I've already talked about some packages that could work for the Clippers to make that happen. You can listen to an episode I recorded a day or two ago now where I talked about the Clippers getting James Harden from the Philadelphia 76ers. If you want to hear some packages that I think could make it work. And obviously I already talked about one of them today, just a couple episodes ago now that I recorded this morning, about getting James Harden in a Clippers uniform. I had a 3-team trade with the 76ers, and I had just a trade straight up with the 76ers too to try to make it work. So the last thing I'm going to mention here is Russell Westbrook's stats with the Clippers overall. In 21 regular season games, he averaged 15.8 points per game, along with 4.9 rebounds, 7.6 assists, 1.1 steals, 0.5 blocks, shot 49% from the floor, and 35.6% from three for the Clippers overall in 21 regular season games. Then the playoffs, he averaged 23.6 points per game, along with 7.6 rebounds, 7.4 assists, 1.2 steals, 1.4 blocks, alongside shooting 35.7% from three and 41% from the floor overall. Russ looked great for the Clippers when they need him to step up big in the playoffs. Obviously had a couple tough shooting nights, but that didn't stop him from giving you everything he had and filling the stat sheet in other areas, and obviously giving you all the hustle he had left in him. And then you look at his stats overall in the regular season that I mentioned, 16 points, 7.5 assists. That's huge. 7.6 assists a night is huge for the Clippers. A team that needed a point guard and needed somebody to step in. Obviously, the John Wall experiment didn't work out, unfortunately, even though I was high on John Wall. And then, obviously, the Reggie Jackson experiment, running it back another year with Reggie Jackson, didn't work out either. And obviously, things worked out for Reggie Jackson. He ended up winning an NBA Finals off the bench for the Nuggets. He just got himself a payday, 2 years, $10 million from the Nuggets yesterday. But at the end of the day, it didn't work out running it back with Reggie Jackson another year. He was aging. It didn't work out in that offense. Was taking tough shots, wasn't really great defensively, was turning the ball over easily. And then the John Wall experiment didn't work either. The Clippers needed somebody to step in at point guard, and Russell Westbrook did that. And honestly, it was a dream come true for me just seeing him in a Clippers uniform. I wanted the Clippers to win the NBA Finals last year, but just seeing him in a Clippers uniform was just so awesome and so surreal. Being a lifelong fan of Russell Westbrook and Paul George for their whole careers, and then just seeing them play together on the Clippers. And I was a fan of them when they were on Oklahoma City, but I wasn't really an Oklahoma City fan. It's really much different with them being on the Clippers together, a team that I'm a diehard fan of. It's much different than them being just together on the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I'm rooting for the Clippers always, and now I'm even more excited for this upcoming season, seeing Russell Westbrook back. And I'll repeat it yet again, a 2-year, $7.8 million deal, which is an absolute bargain. Excited to see him on the Clippers and hoping they can find a way to get James Harden alongside Russell Westbrook and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in LA. And obviously, the Clippers have a lot of assets that they could move, a lot of expiring contracts, and some players that could definitely help the Sixers still contend and still build around Joel Embiid and still try to make a run in the Eastern Conference and still have a chance to win the NBA Finals. We'll see what happens. Anyways, thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to this. As always, I appreciate it and hope you guys have a good one. Thank you.